إذا الأمجاد قد عظمت فللأمجاد بانيها ومن يسعى إلى العليا سيدركها بما فيها ويبني مجده جذلا فروح الفذ يعليها ليصبح همة تروي عن العليا مغانيها.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another explosive, exciting episode of the ITV Math Show. I'm your host and presenter, Mohammed Kota. We're shooting here in South Africa, in the ITV studios here in Johannesburg, in Rivonia. Now, before we get started with today's show, I just want to say thank you, South Africa. Thank you for all the emails that have been pouring in. Thank you for accepting us. And thank you for applying our systems and listening to us. And it's made such a huge difference in so many lives. We've seen so many learners who have purchased our pack, purchased the DVD set, worked through the program, enjoyed it, repeated, played the shows, opened up their files. The feeling here is tremendous. So I just want to say thank you all for enjoying the show. Let's get started now with today's show. We ended off our last show with the double and the compound angle. And we went on to sine 3x. And this, if you remember from our last show, this is where we ended up. And I did say that this is not the end of the topic. Remember, we're still going to do a couple of more problems. Now, as we stand today, this is a pre-recording. This is not a live. But as we stand here today, we're shooting this on the 3rd of September. And on the 3rd of September, I would say at least 90% of our South African grade 12s are writing their math paper 1 today. And I am praying to the Almighty that the Almighty assist every one of you grade 12s who are writing this math paper 1, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you so that you can understand the concept, understand the questions. And I pray that the problems that we have done, if you have watched our episodes, that some of them, inshallah, will come out in your paper word for word. So you need to let us know. Get onto the ITV website, itvnetworks.tv, go onto the blog site, post your comments, post the type of questions. We'd like to hear from you what's going on. Let's get started with the double and compound angles. Now, matrics are writing, grade 12s are writing paper 1 today. They are writing paper 2 next week and the following week. So please, these concepts here, these are the type of questions that you will be seeing in your prelims and in your final exams. So let's get started. This was the problem where we ended off last. We are now going on to example number, I don't even know, I hope you guys got your notes. So this would have been possibly example number 2 or example number 3. And let's see now, where are we? So let's just get this thing cleared up nicely here and let's get cracking. Okay, next problem. So this is paper 2. We said that this is paper 2, double and compound angles. And we are dealing with, guys, we are dealing with identities. So the question here is going to say in the exam, prove. Now, the question that comes out in the exam, it says, prove that cos 4x is equal to 1 minus 8 sine squared x plus 8 sine to the power 4x. And it's worth 7 marks. Question, answer. There are 2 ways in which this question, I've come across, in fact I had a workshop this weekend, we saw exactly the same question that was posed in a different way. And the way that this question was posed was, write cos 2x in terms of sine for 7 marks. Now guys, this question here, write cos 4x, write cos 4x in terms of sine, and this question that proved that cos 4x is equal to this is exactly the same. Only thing, they've made this an identity, they've given you the final answer, here they haven't. So you already know that the answer to this question is that. Okay? So now, let's start with this one. Like I said, it's exactly the same question. Now these, I told you in the last one that whenever they use, remember in the previous example, if you haven't watched the previous episode, go to itvnetworks.tv, click on the ITV Math Show on the top. All our previous episodes will be uploaded. Go onto the episode where I explain to you that if this number is odd, like we had in the previous one, sine 3x, the number 3 is odd. So if it's odd, it becomes compound. And we broke it up in the last problem into x plus 2x. X plus 2x. Because 1x plus 2x will give me 3x. So if it's an odd number, we break it up into compound. If it's an even number, guys, if that is an even number, we break it up into double. Now pay attention. This is very, very, very crucial. These are concepts that will be applied throughout trigonometry for grade 12. Pay attention. Let's start left-hand side. Now, we always ask ourselves, which is the complex side? Is the left-hand side the complex side, or is the right-hand side the complex side? Look at this. Our right-hand side here is in its simplest form. There's absolutely nothing that can be done with the right-hand side. But look at the left-hand side, cos 4x. That's our complex side. The one that contains our double angle or our compound angle. That is your complex side. So let's start. Cos 4x. And we're going to make it into double. So this is cos 2 times 2x. Now pay attention. Cos 2 times 2x. That's our double angle. So what is our reference angle? Our reference angle is 2x. Our reference angle is 2x. Because 2 times 2x will give me 4x. Now, this is a cos 2 of my reference angle or my cos double angle. Which of my cos double angle formulas have only got sine in it? Now, you know that cos 2x, if x was your reference angle, this would equal to, you know from your formula, cos squared x minus sine squared x. Or 2 cos squared x minus 1, or 1 minus 2 sine squared x. Which of these three formulas only have a sine in it? Not the first one, not the second one, definitely the third one, 1 minus 2 sine squared x. That's your reference angle. So cos 2x is 1 minus 2 sine squared. What's my reference angle? In this case was x. In this case it's 2x. There we go. So cos 4x is equal to cos 2 times 2x. 2x being your reference angle, which is 1. When I convert it, that's my double angle. When I convert it, it's 1 minus 2 sine squared 2x, because that's my reference angle. There we go. Copy and paste. Now, 1 minus 2 sine squared 2x. We need to expand. So this will become 1 minus 2 sine 2x. We write it like this, sine 2x squared. Don't forget the square. This is equal to 1 minus 2. Expand that. Sine 2x can only be broken up in one way. 2 sine x cos x squared. 1 minus 2. 2 squared. 4. Sine squared x cos squared x. Multiply this out. 1 minus 2 times 4 minus 8 sine squared x cos squared x. Remember, that's one term. Now we've got sine and sine. I've got sine and I've got cos. So I need to convert the cos to a sine. Now we know from grade 11, 1 minus 8 sine squared x. What do we know about cos squared x, guys? Cos squared is 1 minus sine squared. Good. 1 minus sine squared x. So now multiply that out. 1 minus 8 times 1 will give me minus 8 sine squared x. Negative times negative, positive. 8 sine squared times sine squared, sine to the power 4x. Look at that. 1, 1. Minus 8 sine squared minus 8 sine squared plus 8 sine 4 plus 8 sine 4, which is equal to right hand side. And there we go, boys and girls. 7 marks. You now have got 7 marks for this problem. Cos 4x. There, let's quickly go through it again. Cos 4x is cos 2 times 2x, which is 1 minus 2 sine squared 2x, your reference angle. Sine 2x, there we go, there's my square. Sine 2x, we break it up. 2 sine x cos x, because that's a formula for my double angle for sine. Now, remove the brackets. 2 squared, 4. Sine squared x, cos squared x. Multiply it out. Minus 2 times 4 minus 8 sine squared x, cos squared x. Cos squared broken up into 1 minus sine squared. Cos squared, 1 minus sine squared. Multiply it out. I get my right hand side. And there we go, boys and girls. This is an exam question. We've seen it in past papers, and that is what we've gone through. Like I told you, the one that came out in the exam paper, that was exactly like that, but not as an identity. It said, write cos 4x in terms of sine, and there we go, and that would be the problem. Boys and girls, we are about to cut for an ad break. I hope you've taken this one down. I'm going to leave you with one to do during the break. So you've got 3 minutes quickly before we cut for an ad break. Let's see how good are you. So now I give you this one. I tell you, prove question that sine half x plus cos half x all squared is equal to 1 plus sine x. And that is for 6 marks. Right? There's an identity. Guys, we are now cutting for an ad break. I hope you enjoyed the first segment. Stay tuned to the best math show in the world. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the ITV Math Show. Guys, we are on fire in studio. This is preparation for Math Paper 2 Grade 12's 2015. Before the break, I let you off. I said, today you had homework to do. Previous episode, I told you you had a bit of a break. Don't think you're going to get a break every day. We're starting here. Sine half x plus cos half x all squared is equal to 1 plus sine x. Now, common sense. Which is our more complex side? Left hand side. So let's get started. Left hand side. So we've got sine half x plus cos half x all squared. So now, this year in algebra, I want you to know this. In algebra, forget about everything else. Let's go to some algebra here. Okay, we know if I've got a plus b all squared. Right, forget about that. We're now talking about a plus b all squared. How would we do a plus b all squared? How would we remove the brackets? Now, I showed you guys in the chapter on quadratic equations how to square a binomial. In grade 12, you should be knowing this in calculus. X plus h all squared would be a squared, we square the first, b squared, we square the second. We need one more term in the middle, multiply and times by 2. So a times b, ab, times 2 plus 2ab. So understand the concept. Square the first, square the second, multiply the 2 and times it by 2. We're going to be doing the same there on that side. So let's go back here to the right hand side, of the board, left hand side of the equation. So now, square the first term. So let's square the first term. We're going to get sine squared half x. That's the first term squared, is sine squared half x. Let's square the second term. Plus cos squared half x. We now need to get our middle term. So we're going to multiply the 2, there's it, multiply the 2 and times it by 2. Multiply the 2 and times it by 2, plus 2 sine half x, cos half x. There we go. Now, we've expanded the bracket. What do we know about sine squared of an angle plus cos squared of an angle? Sine squared x plus cos squared x. Sine squared a plus cos squared a. Sine squared half x plus cos squared half x. Yes, you're right. The answer is 1. Plus, look at this. Does that not remind you of something? Does that not remind you of, and let's go a little bit up here. Let's go a little bit up here. Does that not remind you of 2 sine x cos x? Now that is my double angle. If remember my formula, 2 sine x cos x is sine 2x. That's my double angle for sine. Now 2 sine half x cos half x is my double angle. So it's sine, there we go, 2 sine x cos x is sine 2 times your angle. In this case, my angle was half. In this case, your angle is half x. Right? In this case here, your angle is 1. Remember, here it's only 1. Here it's half x. So what am I left with? 1 plus sine. 2 times half is 1. 1 plus sine x. And what is 1 plus sine x? My right-hand side. And there we go. Okay, boys and girls, that's the way we do it. We use our normal algebra, look for your identities. Remember I taught you guys the acronym ALI. Remember I taught you guys the acronym ALI. It's done in 2 parts. Step number 1, algebra. Step number 2, identities. There's the algebra, there's the identity. There's the algebra, there's the identity. And there we go. Sine squared half x plus cos squared half x is 1. 2 sine half x cos half x is sine 2 times half x, which is equal to 2 times half is 1. So it's sine 1x, which is sine x, which is equal to your right-hand side. And there we go, boys and girls. We are now done with the next example. We're now going on to the final example. The next one is quite tricky. I hope you've taken this one down, and I hope you guys are mastering these notes. I hope you guys are practicing on these questions. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Remember, the pace in the show is heavy. The pace in the show is fast. Why? We are at the end of the year already. You cannot expect me to stand from here and say, boys and girls, sine 2x. God, we might as well cancel the show. Guys, you need to be online. You cannot disconnect now. You know what they say? If you're using WhatsApp, don't DC now. Stay online. Let's go. Watch the next question. Show that sine 22, 5 is equal to the square root of 2 minus root 2 all over 2 for 7 marks. Question, answer. Now, lots and lots and lots, a little bit of theory that's going to go into here, guys. So you need to pay attention. So take that problem down. Prove that. Prove or show that sine 22, 5 is equal to the square root of 2 minus root 2 all over 2 for 7 marks. Now we all know, without the use of a calculator, obviously, because they want it, remember when they say WUC, without the use of a calculator. Okay, what I like to say, with the use of a Casio. But in any case, we know what we're talking about, right? Let's get started here. Sine 22, 5. Now you know your special angle is 45. I'm going to show you why not to use sine 45 as your special angle. Many of you would go now and say, okay, I know that sine 45, because these two are related, 22, 5 is half of 45. You're going to say sine 45 is equal to, as a special angle, root 2 over 2. That's it. That's where you probably would start. Sine 45. Now you're going to get a 22, 5 from there. You're now going to say, so do not write this. Don't write. Let me make a note here. Don't write. That is incorrect. So, I'm showing you what mistake you probably would make. And then I will explain to you why that's a mistake, and then we will do it the correct way. So sine 45 is equal to root 2 over 2. That we know. It's a given. Special angle. So sine, what is 45 and 22, 5? It's 2 times 22, 5. We all know 22, 5 times 2 will give me 45. Is still equal to root 2 over 2. Now that's your double angle for sine. So you're now going to say 2 sine 22, 5 cos 22, 5 is equal to root 2 over 2. But now, so there's a sine 22, 5 which you need from your question. There's a sine 22, 5 that you got here. But now you've got a problem. Cos 22, 5. You've got a problem there. And now you are stuck. Because now you don't know what to do with cos 22, 5. You are completely stuck. That's why I say this is an incorrect procedure. Very tempting. Very tempting. But wrong. Let's now show you the correct way. Now pay attention, don't write. Remember, you need to understand, you need to focus. Your eyes need to be on the screen, you need to know what is going on. Step by step. You can take it down afterwards, no problem. Pause the screen, rewatch the show, whatever. Pay attention. That's the important part. Let's start. We're now going to go on to cos 45. Because we know that cos 45 is also square root 2 over 2. Now you might be asking, what? Why would you start with cos 45? Let me show you. Cos 45 will be broken up into cos 2 times 22 comma 5, which is also equal to root 2 over 2, your special angle. Now, which of your cos formulas only have a sign? Remember, cos has got three formulas. It's got cos of a double angle, cos 2x, cos 2x, that's your double angle, has got three formulas, cos squared minus sine squared, 2 cos squared x minus 1, 1 minus 2 sine squared x. Which of these three only have a sign in it? Wouldn't it be the last one? Yes or no? So cos 2 times 22 comma 5 in terms of sign, because cos can be broken up in terms of sign. Sine can't be broken up in terms of cos. That is why we use the cos double angle and not the sine double angle. Understanding? I hope so. So now this becomes 1 minus 2 sine squared. What's my reference angle? 22 comma 5 is equal to square root 2 over 2. Now we don't have a cos in the problem. Unlike the previous one where we had a cos and we didn't know how to get rid of it. We now have got it in terms. So there's sine 22 comma 5. There's sine 22 comma 5. What do you think we're going to do right now? Yes, you're right. All we're going to do now is make sine 22 comma 5 the subject of the formula. Of course. So now take the one on the other side. Minus 2 sine squared 22 comma 5 is equal to root 2 over 2. Plus 1 will go on the other side. Minus 1. We now divide by minus 2 to get rid of the minus 2. So sine squared 22 comma 5 is equal to root 2 over 2 minus 1 divided by minus 2. Sine 22 comma 5 is equal to, how do I get rid of a square? I find the square root. If I find the square root on the side, I find the square root on the other side. So it's equal to the square root of root 2 over 2 minus 1 over minus 2. And now you will get your final answer, which you would have needed to prove. Therefore, I'm just moving up to the side because we don't have enough space there. Therefore, your final answer, that's your final answer. Therefore, sine 22 comma 5 is equal to, when you calculate that on your calculator, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get the square root of 2 minus root 2 all over 2, which is equal to right hand side. And there we go, boys and girls. You will now get 7 marks for that problem. Okay, hope you guys have taken this one down. Just to go through a quick recap, you needed to prove that sine 22 comma 5 is equal to that. Start off, that's your starting point. That's your start. Start with cos 45 is equal to square root 2 over 2. That's your double angle. Cos 2 times 22 comma 5 is equal to square root 2 over 2. Now, all you have to do now, change your cos to sine. Change your cos to sine, and all we did there was we made sine the subject of the formula. 22 comma 5, the subject of the formula. And there we go. After that, guys, the problem just works itself out. We're cutting for a 3-minute ad break. You've got nothing to do during the ad break. What you need to do for the next 3 minutes is process the problems that we've done. Don't waste time. You've got 3 minutes. Go over it. I'll see you back in 3 minutes' time. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the ITV Math Show. We've got a bumper episode that's been happening here today. We have started with double and compound angles. We went through all the different types of identities. We're now starting with the next concept in double and compound angles, which is called trig substitution. Now, grade 12s, if you have seen, I know the minute I put it up here on the board, you've already seen this before. Okay, you've seen. If sine 21 is equal to A, they can change this angle, make it any angle. Sine 36 is equal to P. Sine 28 is equal to Q. It doesn't make a difference. The minute you see a problem looking like that, it falls under the topic of trig substitution. Now, we need to do this without the use of a calculator, guys, because we need to give our answer. The question says in terms of A. So you cannot use a calculator. Your answer will be in terms of A. You'll have an A in your answer. Now, how do we do it? Here, method or the strategy of attack. Okay? Let's get started here. Whenever we see this, I'm going to give you an acronym. Like I gave you guys an acronym for solving identities. I told you Ali. Who does identities? Ali does identities. What does Ali stand for? AL, step number 1, algebra. Step number 2, identity. So do your algebra, look for your identity, the problem will work itself out. The method or strategy of attack for this one is called scrap. S-C-R-A-P. Now you might be asking, you have absolutely no idea what it means. Now the word scrap represents the steps involved in sorting a problem out like that. So the first S stands for standard form. The C from scrap, draw your Cartesian plane. The R stands for look at your restriction. Are any restrictions given in this problem? No. A and P, Pythagoras. Always get your problem in standard form. Draw your Cartesian plane. Look at your restriction. Complete it using Pythagoras. So the method of attack to solve these types of problems without the use of a calculator, whenever it says without the use of a calculator, by using a diagram, you use this method called scrap. What does scrap stand for? Standard form, Cartesian plane, restriction, and Pythagoras. Let's apply. So, before we even start answering the questions, but you need to draw the diagram, guys. You get marks for the diagram. You get marks. So now, put your diagram down here. Put your diagram down there. Let's see, is this in standard form? Yes, it is. Sine 21 equals A over 1. Okay, so it is in standard form. I'm just moving this up here. Let's put it here. We say sine 21 is equal to A. We know A is A over 1. Now, using SOHCAHTOA, we know that is opposite over hypotenuse. You guys all know SOHCAHTOA. For 90 degree triangles, sine opposite over hypotenuse. Cos adjacent over hypotenuse, tan opposite over adjacent. So, standard form, S, there's your standard form. Cartesian plane, there's your Cartesian plane. Restriction, any restrictions given? No. And Pythagoras. So if no restriction is given, we draw our triangle in the first quadrant. Our reference angle here being 21 degrees. Now we know it's sine. Sine opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite, that's your opposite. That's your hypotenuse. That's your adjacent. The side opposite your reference angle is your opposite. We know that the side opposite our 90 degrees, that's our hypotenuse. And the remaining side being our adjacent side. So now, opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse, A over 1, that must be A, that must be 1. We're short of our adjacent side. Now don't get confused. The A from the question and the A from adjacent is not the same A. They represent, it's the same alphabet representing two absolutely different sides. So this is actually our X value. So we want to find out what is our X. Now we use Pythagoras. And what does the theorem of Pythagoras state? The square on the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the other two squares on the other two sides. We need X. We need that value there. So now we've got 1. 1 squared is 1. Minus A squared is equal to X squared. So X is equal to plus or minus the square root of 1 minus A squared. Now we know it's to the right. So this must be the square root, positive. The square root of 1 minus A squared. If this was on the opposite side, it would have been negative the square root of 1 minus A squared. But it's on the positive side of 0. Any number to the right is positive. Okay? Please, another mistake that many of you make. You say that the square root of 1 minus A squared is 1 minus A. In which world? In which world is the square root of 1 minus A squared equal to 1 minus A? Never in your life. So it's one of the biggest mistakes. You leave it as the square root of 1 minus a squared. Okay, now we start answering our questions. So let's now go and let's start answering our questions. So we've completed the diagram. Standard form, there's your standard form, Cartesian plane, restriction to draw your triangle, and we used Pythagoras to complete. Let's answer number 1. These are our answers. Let's put it here, answers. The answer to question number 1, cos 21. Cos 21 is equal to, what do we know about cos? According to SOHCAHTOA, cos, adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent over hypotenuse, which is equal to adjacent. Your adjacent over hypotenuse. So it's the square root of 1 minus a squared over 1, which is equal to the square root of 1 minus a squared. And there we go, guys. That is the answer for question number 1. Right? We've taken the answer. We've taken the answer from our diagram, and we put it into the question in order to answer our question. Let's now go on to question number 2. Tan 21. Tan 21 is equal to, according to tan, opposite over adjacent, which is equal to, what's my opposite side? Opposite over adjacent. A over square root of 1 minus a squared. And there we go. 2 marks, 2 marks. We still got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 marks. Remember, 10 marks in total. You can never answer these questions, guys, if you do not complete your diagram. That is why your diagram is so important. That is why scrap is so important. So whenever you see this, don't forget, this is Mr. K's way. Scrap. Let's now go on to the next one. Number 3. Number 3, sine 42. What is the relationship between 42 and 21? Your angle that's given and the angle, your reference angle and the angle that they want you to find. This is a double angle. So this is sine 2 times 21. Now sine 2 times 21, sine 2x can only be broken up in one way. 2 sine x cos x. Remember from your formulas, that's a double angle formula. 2 sine 21 cos 21. Which is equal to 2. We know sine 21 is a. Cos 21, we've worked it out before, is square root of 1 minus a squared. And there we go. We've now represented sine 42 in terms of a. Right. Let's now go on to cos 159. What is the relationship between 159 and 21? Is there a quadrant plus or minus an angle that will give me 159 plus or minus my reference angle that will give me 159? Yes, there is. I hope you've taken this one down. Right? Take it down quick. Let's get started with the next one. Cos 159. And remember, those of you who are working, you don't need to wait for me to do it. Carry on. By the time I get to it, you can already check whether your answers are right and how far off are you. Right. Number 4, cos 159. Cos 159 is cos between 159 and 21. Is there a relationship? 90 plus 69 will give me 159. Or we can say 180 minus 21. Because 180 minus 21 will give me 159 degrees. So 180 is my quadrant minus 21, that's my reference angle, will give me 159. Now we know by our rules of reduction, cos 180, the name stays the same. Cos 21, the quadrant falls away. 180 minus is in my second quadrant. Cos in my second quadrant is negative. So your answer is minus, and cos 21 is the square root of 1 minus a squared. And there we go. Cos 159, cos 180 minus 21, minus cos 21, minus the square root of 1 minus a squared. Let's now go on to cos 66, guys. Cos 66, sine 66, number 5, the last one. Sine 66. Right? We're going to cut for an ad break. We're now going to cut for a 3-minute ad break. I'm going to leave sine 66 for you to do. When we get back from the ad break, let's see how well you've comprehended, how well you've mastered this topic. Boys and girls, enjoy the break. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the ITV Math Show. Okay, before the break, I left you with the last one. I told you to do sine 66 without the use of a calculator in terms of A. Now, let's get started. For those of you who have just joined us, you've joined us at the end of the show. You better go back, go onto the itvnetworks.tv, watch the previous. Remember something, guys. Some of you sent in the request, or some of you sent in some suggestion or comments that why isn't the show uploaded? Guys, it takes at least a week for the show to be uploaded. So please don't go on immediately and go and try and upload the site and upload today's episode. It won't be done. That will only come in a week's time. So it's important, guys. You guys know the times of the show. Remember, our Ramadan timing was different. Post-Ramadan timing, 3:30 to 4:30 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Make sure you keep your remotes tuned and your dial locked into ITV channel 347. Best math show in the world. Let's get started. Sine 66. Right. So now, sine 66 is going to be sine. Now we can't say 90 minus an angle. Because if we take our calculators and we say 90 minus 66 gives me 24 degrees. Now there's no relationship between a 24 degrees and 90, your quadrant, or the 21 degrees that's given. Right. But we also know that we can use our special angles. 45 is a special angle plus 21. We must get our reference angle into your question. The aim of this is to get your reference angle into your answer so that you can then resubstitute it with the alphabets that you found from your triangle. So, sine 45 plus 21, remember that's a compound angle, sine of a compound angle, and I taught you guys how to break up the sine compound angle. Remember I said sine of a compound angle, sine cos, cos sine, the sine stays the same. Good. And the cos of a compound angle, do you guys remember it? Are you saying it loud there in your dining rooms or in your bedrooms or whatever? Are you screaming it loud? Cos of a compound angle, cos cos, sine sine. And remember the sign changes. So this is sine of a compound angle, guys. Sine cos, so we write it out. Sine cos, cos sine, and the sine stays the same. So we got 45, 21, 45, 21, and the sine stays the same. For sine, the sine in the middle stays the same. So sine 45, special angle, guys, root 2 over 2. Cos 21, square root of 1 minus a squared. There we go, cos 21, plus cos 45, root 2 over 2. Sine 21, we know it's a. There we go, because we have to represent our answer in terms of a. You can leave it like this if you want to, or you can say, I say leave it like this. That's your final answer. Why complicate your life? Not going to make your life any simpler if you're going to go and if you're going to carry on with it. So just leave it like that and you'll get full marks in your final exams. Okay, we're going to do one more, guys, to wrap up today's show. I've done this one thoroughly, in detail. Now we're going to pick up the pace. I'm going to give you one now from an exam paper, grade 12s. Let's see whether you can crack it. Okay, so remember the method, eh? Remember the method or the strategy of attack. What method are we using? Scrap. What does, just quickly to recap, standard form, Cartesian plane, restriction, and Pythagoras. Let's go. Guys, we're moving at a fantastic pace. I hope you guys are following the pace. I hope I'm not moving too fast. I hope you guys are tuned in and you are following our train of thought. I hope you guys haven't DC'd yet. I hope you guys haven't disconnected. I hope you guys are online and the message is getting across absolutely crystal clear. I'm hoping that, inshallah. Right, let's start. Next question. Watch this one, and I know you've seen this one in the exam. If, and some of you are going to look at this question and you're just going to smile. Why? You've seen it in past papers before. If sine 36 cos 12 is equal to P and cos 36 sine 12 is equal to Q, Find the following in terms. So let's just say that's the question. Now we're going to say find the following. Sometimes I write FFG and people and students still ask me, sir, what does FFG stand for? Guys, we are in grade 12. FFG is the abbreviation for the word following, if you don't know by now. Ask your English teacher. I do math, not English. Find the following in terms of P and Q. Okay? So sine 36 cos 12 equals P. Cos 36 sine 12 equals Q. Find the following in terms of P and Q. Number one, sine 48. Sine 24. Cos 24. In terms of P and Q. Let's see what do we have here. Sine 48, 2 marks. 2 marks, 4 marks. 2 and 4, 4. Total, 8 marks. Okay. Answer. Now, look at the angle to answer question number 1, sine 48. That's the question. Sine 48. We need to represent it in terms of P and Q. Now, is there a relationship between 48 and 36 and 12? And I know some of the parents are also sitting and watching. Yes, 48 is 36 plus 12. Well done, parents. Right, so cos sine 48 is equal to sine 36 plus 12. Good. 36 plus 12, 36 and 12 from my question, and the 48 that's given there. So sine 48 is sine 36 plus 12. Now we know our compound angle. This is a compound angle. It's broken up. So this is going to be sine cos, cos sine. Sine cos, cos sine. So what? Sine cos, cos sine. 36, 12. 36, 12. And the sign stays the same. Sine 36 cos 12. Sine 36 cos 12 is equal to what? P. Plus. There's your plus. There's your plus. Cos 36 sine 12. Cos 36 sine 12. Q. That's your final answer. P plus Q. Was that so difficult? No, of course not. Some of the parents, some of you in your 60s and 70s are still doing it. And I know it. I meet some people in the mosque and I say, hey, Mr. K, watched your show, enjoyed your show, loved your show. I'm 65 years old. I did mathematics 30 years ago. But guess what? I'm enjoying it. And I'm following you and I'm understanding everything. So guys, grade 12s, if the old guys are doing it, surely you can understand it. And you are somebody who is doing it every single day. Right? Let's do number 2. Sine 24. Is there a relationship between 24 and 36 and 12? Your two reference angles. Right? Is there a relationship? So that must be sine 36 minus 12. 36 minus 12 is 24. Also my compound angle. Sine cos, cos sine. And the sine stays the same. 36 12. 36 12. And we put a minus. Sine 36 cos 12, P. Minus cos 36 sine 12, cos 36 sine 12, Q. And guys, that is your final answer. Okay? So there we go. We've got question number 1, question number 2. We've answered question number 1. We've answered question number 2. We now got cos 24. But now you got a problem. Right? Okay. The older generation, this is where you got to just step back a little. Cos 24, you might be saying, is cos 36 minus 12. Yes, it is cos 36 minus 12, but what's going to happen? The cos, when you break up the cos compound angle, it's not going to be sine cos cos sine. It's going to be cos cos sine sine. For cos, if you broke it up, just to show you, guys, we're coming towards the end of the show. I hope we got enough time, so I'm going to start picking up the pace. I think we've got a couple of minutes left. We've just been signaled. So we've got cos 24. If you had to say cos 36 minus 12, that would be cos cos sine sine. And that would be 36 12, 36 12. And that sign would change because of cos. But now you've got a problem because you don't have cos cos sine sine in terms of P and Q. You got sine cos cos sine. You don't have a cos cos sine sine. So what happens here, guys? I'm going to show you how it's done. Now we know from the previous one, sine 24. What did we get sine 24? We got sine, it's the same reference angle, 24, 24. Sine 24 we got as P minus Q from the previous one. And we know P minus Q is P minus Q over 1. So if we draw our triangle, that's opposite over hypotenuse. If I drew my triangle, and now some of you are saying, oh my word, is that how it's done? Sine 24, P minus Q over 1. That means this must be the square root of 1 minus P minus Q squared using Pythagoras. Yes, of course. So now to answer cos 24, it's adjacent over hypotenuse, square root of 1 minus P minus Q squared over 1, which is equal to the square root of 1 minus P minus Q squared. Boys and girls, that's the way we answer the last one. The last one, you answer it by looking at the one previous because it's the same reference angle, 24 degrees. So draw your diagram, sine opposite over hypotenuse. There we go. Use Pythagoras and then answer cos 24. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters all over the world, all over South Africa, we've even had guys who are sitting in prisons watching the K-Way Match Show. Thumbs up to you guys. They've even ordered our sets. We've sent our sets even through to prison. So if you're a prison inmate and you are watching the K-Way Match Show and you are now addicted to it, alhamdulillah. Boys and girls, brothers and sisters, Islam is a unified religion. Mathematics is a universal language. Together, it makes one of the most explosive combinations in the world. Hope you guys enjoyed today's show and join us again for another jam-packed episode of the ITV Match Show. From me, Mohammed Kota, from the ITV studios here in South Africa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الأمجاد قد عظمت فللأمجاد بانيها ومن يسعى إلى العليا سيدركها بما فيها ويبني مجده جذلا فروح الفذ يعليها ليصبح همة تروي عن العليا